Hey there, everybody. This is Larry. Thanks for joining for episode 2. Full disclosure before we really jump into the episode, I am totally recording this in my son's room. Now, the reason being is that our house is kind of full, and this is right now the quietest room in the house. I was going to try to do it outside, but it's kind of a cloudy day and started raining. And it got a bit loud. And the kids are doing their schoolwork via tutor teacher here, helping them when I can and so forth. But yeah, that's why we're here. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to have a skinned shark on my bed, but no, all this creativity and color is my boys. Okay, so this episode, what I kind of wanted to discuss a little bit was sort of the early days of injury and some of the expectations and thought processes behind it. I think it's kind of important early on in the series to make note for some of those folks that are injured now and new to it and don't know what to expect or what to do or where to go to reach for information and so forth. Because when I first got injured, there wasn't a whole lot of information out there. There wasn't all this social media and Facebook groups like Spinal Cord Injury. Was it United States? Let me double check on that. It's Spinal Cord Injury USA group is a great facet for connections between all injuries and a lot of great information and people there. So definitely utilize it if you don't know of it already. Let's see. I reached out to a couple people as well because I wanted their insights on some of the struggles they had in the beginning, or some that are early on in their injury now, and maybe some of the information they can get from here might be helpful. One young lady, bear with me because I have my computer here, named Jessica. She was injured September 25th of 2019, so still really early on. You're pretty much considered a noob to the chair for the first few years because at that point your body's still recovering for the next couple of years. And you may or may not gain some movement, feeling, sensation. You're probably still doing therapy for a good while, which is great. But yeah, she was shot in a home invasion and is injured from T12 to L3. So I'm assuming her rods are T12 is kind of the lowest end, kind of T12 is about belly button from what's been explained to me, as far as I've always known. And L3 is the lumbar, even lower. So as far as injury, she should still have some abs and has potential for a lot of, hopefully, core and stuff like that. But she says right now, during the whole quarantine and stuff like that, her physical therapy's been canceled, and her biggest struggle right now is a bit of nerve pain, which, if you're a spinal cord injury, you know about it. There's a few different types of pains that we get. We can get spasticity pains, nerve pains, chronic pains, skeletal, I don't know. Anyway, so it's a whole vast majority. That's why when you start dabbling in medicines, it's really tough to define what some of those are. Let's see. And she says that she has slowly gained a little bit of movement in her right leg, which is incredible. Because we're fortunate to gain any kind of movement or sensation back. I would say, since it's so early on, even when you're at home, keep stretching, whether you're having to transfer to a bed or something like that and stretch. I used a belt for a long time. You can get those exercise bands and wrap them around your feet, and that'll help kind of do some of the stretches. But stretch and move. Just do anything but sit. But I also reached out to a guy I met fairly early on, I think, during his injury. His name's Hunter. And he's been in the chair for about 8 years. And he's a T11 complete, so right around the same level. But complete, again, means there's no, officially, I guess, or medically, they say, no movement or feeling or sensation, so forth. From injury level down. And now that's all injury dependent, and there's so many different variations of spinal cord injuries. They could be in the same place for 20 different people, and every one of them would be a little different. But he says that early on, he was injured when he was 20, and he felt that he moved on too quickly, partially because he was in a coma for 4 weeks, which is yeah, I mean, that's pretty crazy. And so it kind of felt like a daze for him. And so he didn't really accept, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the idea is that he didn't accept his injury until a little while later. But he wants to recommend that you have to be creative on how you get things done, because he was having some issues dealing with when he would hit a moment where he feels like there's nothing you can do, and you feel limited, so to speak, and sometimes it weighs more. Even me, I've been in the chair for now May 5th of 06. Yeah, 14 years. I think I said that last episode. And even now, there's every once in a while, it's like, man, I kind of miss the beach. And not that there aren't ways to get around it, but it's different. And again, it goes back to the last episode of acceptance. And that's what he's kind of coming up with, is that, he didn't get... he started having some harder times as time went on, because he had trouble accepting in the beginning. And everybody has their grieving. Whenever any kind of traumatic anything happens in life, whether it's an injury, whether it's a loss of a loved one, or any of that, the truth of the matter is everybody grieves differently. Everybody accepts things differently. Everybody has their own way of handling grievances. But part of that is being able to grieve, but also being able to take what's happened and move forward. And that's very important mindset to have early on. Is you have to, in the beginning, accept that at least for a while, things are going to be different. Life is going to get hard. It's going to be hard to relearn how to transfer to toilets. It's going to be hard to figure out how to cap and have a bowel system. True story, I still have diapers, and I'm not ashamed of it. Those things happen. I keep those, and I go to bed with them sometimes if I have a drink, and at night there's no telling what's going to happen. So I'll throw on my big boy Depends, and I'll hop in bed. I've even crawled around the rooms in a diaper with my littlest one, just because. So, that's part of it. And accepting that things are going to be a little different is part of that beginning stages. And learning to, as Hunter said, get creative in how you get things done is also very important. I guess some examples would be just, like previous episode, how you get groceries in and so forth. I think's pretty important. I also chatted with, a couple of folk. There's one fella that I was following is Gary, and he's been an incomplete T12, similar to me, but since the age of 17, which is the same as me, it's kind of funny, but he says he's going to be 75 years old next month. So I can't even imagine how the chairs and stuff were in the beginning of his time. As weird as it sounds, again, chair life is super hard to deal with in the beginning, but now we do have access to a lot of neat equipment. It's not all attainable due to pricing and circumstances, but even the chairs today, even the lackluster chairs of today, are still, I think, better than what they were probably when Gary got injured. So it's all about adapting, and you have to be creative in how you adapt to the new world. It is a new world. It is a new life, regardless of how you cut it. I remember when I went up to Edinburgh, there was a fella who, this was probably a few months after my injury, and my mindset was stuck on, I'm going to walk again. I'm going to be fine. I'm going to recover. Give me a few years. I'm going to be fine. And this guy flat out told me, you're never going to walk again. And it burned me something deep inside. I raged. And over the years, I was just telling my wife the other day that to some degree, I kind of appreciate, I think that was his own way of saying that life is going to be different. And he's right. Now, again, I am an incomplete, and I got a lot of function back. I'll show you, able to move my legs and stand a little bit. It's not pretty, but I'm grateful for it. Now, can I walk in a traditional stance? No. If I hold on to things and put a lot of weight in my upper body, I can hobble a little bit. But so I was I only show this for the sake that in the beginning I thought for sure I was going to get my old life back. But then also too, somebody says on the complete opposite of the spectrum, you're never going to walk again. And again, it's all injury dependent, but I was fortunate enough to kind of find that kind of midway just through luck and therapy, and but also knowing that I had to change my mindset on what I thought was going to happen. And I had to do that. If I would have done that earlier on, I wouldn't have gone through the 6 years of depression and hurt that I went through. If I would have allowed myself to think away from just my normal life and accept each day as it was, as a new challenge, and be proud of each new little step that I was taking, then I think things would have progressed a little bit better. The biggest recommendation I can recommend for anybody who's new to a chair is to allow yourself the ability to know that life is going to be different, but it's not over. And I know this kind of segues back to what we said with mindset and acceptance, but that's true story. That I think is the strongest thing when it comes down to the early stages. You're going to be dealing with nerve pains, you're going to be dealing with spasticity, bladder and bowel control and continence issues, and learning a new pattern. Pay attention to your body. The foods that you eat are going to have an effect on how your body reacts, whether that's with spasticity or nerve pain. If you have a lot of nerve pain, say in your feet, what I like to do is wear, I've bought these these warmest socks you can get, because I found that a lot of the nerve pain comes from, for me, the lack of blood flow in the feet. The warmer the feet are, the better the blood flow. Or if you do spasm, let your feet spasm, because that's, again, blood flow. Blood flow allows the ability for your feet to warm up, and might, for me anyway, alleviate some of that nerve pain. And that's been kind of my biggest issue. So, Jessica, I hope that's at least helpful. I don't know if you have any spasticity or not, or but try any ways to help recirculate those legs. And that's kind of why they give you those ugly tight socks in the beginning that look like a cast from Peter Pan would wear. But I think that's kind of the purpose anyway. But and early on, ask questions. Utilize Facebook. Utilize all the YouTube guys out there that are doing amazing things on how-tos and showing you the ropes. I mean, everybody's going to be different, but there is something to be learned from it. And ask me questions. I want questions. The more questions you have, the more I'm able to directly answer what it is that you're looking for. You know, it's been a long time since I've been in the chair, so let me know some of the things that you had trouble with, so you can remind me of some of the things that I probably forgot to mention. But yeah, please do comment, do share. I think the next episode, what I'd like to do is how I physically do some of the things I do. Again, I'm an incomplete, so it's a little creative, to say the least. But if you have any curiosities of seeing how I do something, I'll be more than happy to share that. Yeah, just give me a list of things to try and I'll record it, and maybe that could be something a little different than just watching me talk, because I feel like we need some action. But yeah, anyway, I think that's it for this episode, and I know there's probably more than I could really fit into like a 15-20 minute video, but if there's specifics, holler them at me. Y'all, please give me a list of things that you want to know, whether it's watching me how I do things, topics you want me to really go in depth with versus just kind of brush through, scenarios, the mindset of certain things, the physical issues of certain things. Give me specifics, so that way I can feel a little more like I can hone in on what it is that we're going over. But I look forward to the next episode, and hopefully you guys will stay tuned. I'm still learning the ropes. Give me a little time. I promise I'll make it all good and happen. So thanks again for watching, you guys. See ya.